Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Westminster Tuesday morning check-in. I hope you were all able to enjoy your Easter celebrations on Sunday. And though I'm sure for some of you, your Easter feast was a bit different this year from other years, if you're accustomed to gathering in all the family, I'm sure it was a little bit different in this pandemic Easter celebration. In any case, here we are in the season of Easter. And yes, that's my cat behind me. That would be, let me look, that's Sprite. Elf may show up in a while as well. So, Easter, it's a season of hope, and it is a season. It's a time to celebrate God's creation and all the life and color that emerges at this time of the year. And the season of Easter in the church calendar lasts until Pentecost. So 50 days from Easter to Pentecost. And it's a good thing it's that long because right now it doesn't look much like spring outside. But there's lots of time ahead of us for things to turn green and flowers to bloom and all kinds of good things to happen. So as always, I will I'll let you know that we're live on this page Tuesdays at 11 for a check-in. The candle's not burning, but the cat is going to knock it over any second. Thursdays at 7 p.m. for evening prayer, and Sundays at 10 a.m. for prayer and reflection, followed by the shared Trinity service at 10:30. So, as I said, I hope this finds all of you well and staying safe and keeping healthy. If you are a frontline worker, and still going to work, please know that you are deeply appreciated, and we pray for you and hope that you stay safe and healthy while you're out there keeping us safe and fed and cared for. So I don't have a whole lot of deep thoughts for you today. Holy Week and Easter Sunday, at the best of times, leaves me a little bit drained. This year it's a bit more pronounced. I'm finding there's limits to how much information I can hold and process in my mind right now. I'm trying to keep my news consumption to a level that keeps me informed but doesn't overwhelm me with fearful prospects. Some days feel longer than others. I don't have a hobby or a craft that I enjoy. I don't knit. My mother, God bless her, tried to teach me and I just never got it. And I don't think this is the time to learn either. We can't do jigsaw puzzles because we have cats. And a jigsaw puzzle in a box to these two cats would look like a box full of wonderful toys that they could bat around at all hours of the night. So, no puzzles. But I do love to read. But even that has changed. I read in shorter periods of time, where I used to, given the opportunity, read for 2 or 3 hours at a stretch and just dive into a good book. Now my focus seems to be limited to about an hour, and then I need to do something else for a while. And the sort of books I can stay with and enjoy have shifted a bit as well. I finished Erik Larson's The Splendid and the Vile recently and enjoyed it a lot. It's narrative nonfiction and recalls the details in the life of Winston Churchill during the Blitz in London. Now, Larson's storytelling is such that you're reading well-researched history, but you don't open the book thinking, I'm here to learn history. His writing informs you without that feeling that you should be taking notes. And for the time and place that we're in now, what I like about nonfiction is that it's rooted in reality. It's grounded in something that actually happened. And the same can be said for another book I finished recently and enjoyed. It's a work of fiction called The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. And she's the author of one of my favorite novels of all time, Station 11. But content warning, Station 11 is about the aftermath of a devastating global pandemic So if you're not interested in that much reality and apocalyptic literature right now, if it might be a bit too close to home, you might want to save that one for another time, but it is very good. But The Glass Hotel could not possibly be any different from Station 11. It takes place over different time periods, but centers mostly on the financial crisis of 2008 and the fallout from that event. So what occurs to me is that both The Splendid and the Vile and The Glass Hotel center on a devastating event, a time when anyone living through that trauma, through that time, could identify a time before it happened and a time after. Life before the Blitz, life after the Blitz, life before the financial crisis, and life after. So it's interesting to me that these are the books that appeal to me right now. When we're in a time that will, and probably already is, a pivotal moment in history, a pivotal moment in our lives. We will likely look back one day and think of life before COVID-19 and after COVID-19. What's really changed about my reading life is that I have zero patience for world building. Normally, I can go along for the ride with an author of fantasy and immerse myself in the world they create on the page. One of those books was A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I loved that book. And when I read it, I could pick it up after even leaving it for a few days. And I could pick up right where I left off, and within a sentence or two, know exactly where I was in the story, who the characters were, what they were doing, and how that world that they lived in operated. I can't do that anymore. I tried to start a new fantasy novel about a week and a half ago. And I'm sure at some point I will be able to engage that book, but I simply couldn't do it. I lost track of the world in which the characters lived, couldn't remember who had magical powers or what their backstory was. So after a few tries, I gave up. Also, the central conflict that is the basis of any good novel is just too much right now. That feeling of the characters hanging on the edge of disaster is more than I can take. I live in that place every day now, just like you do. I can't process it with fictional characters as well. Mostly what I'm finding is that my brain doesn't quite function in the way that it did months ago, before self-isolation. I'm tired and I'm restless all at the same time. I have great ideas of things I could do since I'm at home, but I don't do them. Maybe you've experienced something like that as well. I feel best when I've been out in the fresh air a bit. People have been so kind when I've been out. You may have noticed that if you've been out walking anywhere. Instead of passing close by on a sidewalk, someone, either me or the other person, crosses to the other side of the street and nods or waves and kind of gives thanks to the other for the physical distance between us. And the other day when I was out, I was walking on River Street and a fire truck went by. Not at high speed, but at the speed limit, no lights, no sirens. And as the fire truck went by, every person on the sidewalk, on my side and on the other side, and we were all a good distance from each other, everyone, including me, waved at the drivers in thanks, in gratitude for their service. I don't recall that happening before COVID-19. Anyway, I hope I haven't bored you all silly with my reading check-in this morning, but that's a bit of a snapshot about where I am today. My hope and my prayer is that all of you are doing well, that you're being kind to yourselves, and that you're staying safe. May God bless you. May God bless all of us in this Easter season of hope. Be well, friends. See you back here Thursday night at 7 p.m. for evening prayer. Thanks, everyone.